Well, now that you've made it through the front door and you're into our kitchen, the center of our home, today we're going to do something with strawberries and butter. No fancy name, just strawberry butter. But what you're going to like about it, it's only 3 ingredients, simple and easy, and when it's done and you spread it on pancakes, French toast, bagels, you're going to love this recipe. Butter just isn't for cookies and serving on your finest breads. Instead of the understudy role, today butter is our star dairy ingredient as I talk to you about flavored butters and spreads to serve at your next meal. The recipe today redefines butter. We're going to sweeten it, add some strawberries, and the result is not only pretty, but yummy too. We're going to be using 1 cup of softened butter. Now that's 2 sticks, and I've already put that into my mixer bowl. And remember when you're softening the butter to allow it to stand at room temperature about 45 minutes just to make sure it is completely softened. And then we're going to add 1 cup of powdered sugar, which of course I've already pre-measured. And then we're going to add 1 10-ounce package of your frozen sweetened strawberries that you find in the freezer section of your groceries. I've already allowed these to thaw, and we'll add that in there. And then turn your mixer on and let it do its magic. Now after this mixes for about 3 minutes or so, but also you could use your food processor or your blender, then you'll want to stop. And you can put it in storage containers to put in either the refrigerator or the freezer because we know that butter freezes well. Right here I have a little pottery container you can pick up at any craft or hobby store which coordinates with the strawberry. Also here I have just a plastic container if you prefer storing it in that. But we're going to put this in. Let's do the pottery container for right now. And you just put it in here. And remember, whether you use the mixer, the processor, or the blender, you will have a little different consistency. Looks good. And we'll put that in the freezer or the refrigerator and let it firm up for just a bit. So when you're ready for your pancakes, your waffles, or your bagels, it will be too. So here's our strawberry butter. I put it in the refrigerator for just a little bit to blend the flavors. Of course, this goes on pancakes, waffles, bagels, biscuits, you name it. I think it'll taste pretty good. But I've also made for you too. This is a flavored butter with brown sugar and cinnamon in it, and I think it would taste really good on my homemade pumpkin bread here. So I'm going to put a little bit of that on. Ooh, I like the color, don't you? Looks pretty good, and that spreads so nicely. That's the butter. And then also, if you've eaten at that famous restaurant where they bring the rolls ahead of the meal and they have that one glaze on it with the butter and the honey, and then there's just a touch of nutmeg, I use it as a glaze on my rolls here today in the basket, and you can see how shiny and pretty that looks and tastes good as well. And then don't forget when you make a streusel topping that butter's a part of it too when you cut in your butter, and that's beautiful on top of your homemade muffins with fresh blueberries this time of year. So butter just doesn't have to be a sideline anymore. It can be the star at your table. But don't forget about presentation. You've put all that hard work into preparation. Presentation is very important too. So here are some of my favorite butter dishes that we use at our table here at Land of Living Farm. And then also, I took some softened butter and put it in some of my candy molds, put it in the freezer, they pop right out. And isn't that beautiful? Maybe at a brunch or a shower or for entertaining, not just for your everyday guests maybe. And then I even used a melon baller to have these little rounded shapes of the butter. But again, butter doesn't have to be just a sideline. It can be the star of your meal. And whether it is in my family and consumer science classroom, at home with my family and our friends, I try to remember that the special ingredients that flavor all home cooking are caring and sharing.
Down the Road is brought to you in part by Prince Agra, makers of Omnigen AF, advancing animal nutrition for healthy animals, and Woodruff Enterprise of Springfield, Ohio.